Morning.
Good morning
Hello.
to you.
Hello.
A lot of writers use the internet, do their research that way. Why you do the real thing?
Yeah, I don't even have the internet at home, actually. I do it partly because it gives me ideas. There are always surprises when you're climbing a volcano, you know, finding a hole in the ground which is hissing and bubbling, and that gave me the idea in The Burning Shadow, the new book, for the fire spirits living in these little holes in the ground. The smell of a volcano. But the main reason I do the research is to make the story real. It's not to sort of put in loads and loads of description, which will be boring, especially when you're writing for 10-year-olds. It's to make them feel that they're in the adventure, living the story alongside the characters, because that way it's going to be more exciting.
It is very immediate, the book.
Thank you.
It's also got a lion cub in it, hasn't it, as well? So
yes.
you went to meet lions as well?
That's right, because the lion cub, Havoc, she's orphaned, and the hero and heroine make friends with her on the slopes of the volcano. And she's an important part of The Burning Shadow and of the whole series, the Gods and Warriors series. So she's a character in her own right. Parts of the story are told from her point of view, through her eyes and ears and nose. So yes, I had to meet some lion cubs. Not actually in the pen with them, because they've got a rather grumpy mother, but we got as close as the keeper allowed us.
I understand the grumpy mother didn't much like you.
She didn't seem to, and that's the great thing about research, because the cubs came right up to the fence. We were as close as we were allowed to be, sort of almost touching, well, touching distance. And the cubs were looking at me and turning upside down and saying hi, and the mother was just sitting about 30 feet away, glaring. It's quite a scary experience,
Sure.
even with a fence. And then as I got up to leave, she covered the 30 feet in about half a second and charged the fence, standing up on her hind
Which is
legs.
fantastic for you,
It's wonderful.
and totally unexpected, and that's how you were able to create that on the pages.
Absolutely. Those are the things that I love. You know, it's the unexpected things. I've now been charged by a lioness, so and live to tell the tale.
And this book is part of a series, isn't it? So it's the second part, but you don't need to read both.
That's absolutely right. It's part of the Gods and Warriors series, which is set in the Bronze Age, thousands of years ago. But you don't need to read. The Burning Shadow is the second book, but you don't need to read the first book. You know, they're a standalone adventure, but each with the same characters.
Now, around your neck, you're wearing a bear tooth.
Yes.
Now, bears are also something you've come across in your time.
I have to say that this is not a revenge piece of jewellery. It's not that bear. No, although it's the same species, it's a bear's tooth and claws. And I should say this was not killed for its tooth and claws. It was killed by an American Indian in Arctic Canada and eaten by its Fedder family. But yes, that kind of started me on the whole thing, I think. That was several years ago, but meeting a mother bear and two cubs by accident in a remote part of a national park in California. I wasn't expecting it. I was on my own hiking, and lovely fluffy bear cubs, but not so fluffy mother.
So you were watching the bear cubs, and what happened?
I was just literally, they just appeared on the other side of a stream as I was hiking. I thought, I had time to think, those are gorgeous.
Yeah.
I wonder where there's the mother, you know. And she wasn't so happy. They were very young cubs, so she did come very close to me to check me out, about sort of 5 feet away. And I can now write from first-hand experience of mortal terror. So in The Burning Shadow, I used that to great effect, because I really thought she was going to kill me. But I managed to talk to her to calm her down, and she, again, this predatory stare, you know, it's not nice. Luckily, she stood her ground. She was uncomfortable, though, because she was thinking about standing up and having a go at me. Clicked her jaws a few times, which was not nice.
Oh.
A lot of writers would now say, well, let's have a break, have a bit of a rest. Not you. You're going to Ben Nevis.
Yes. Well, this is a part of what we call an extreme reading week, when, I mean, a lot of my research for Gods and Warriors series is set in the Mediterranean. So I'm trying to show children, I'm doing a few things in the UK to illustrate the kind of research I do. So on Monday I was in Devon, coast steering, which is sort of swimming around the coast, actually incidentally doing some research for book 5. We went down the mines again with a group of children, the same mines I used for The Burning Shadow in the Great Orme. And yeah, Ben Nevis is on Sunday. The weather forecast, I was just watching on the programme, it's not great. But
That's going to make it more exciting.
It is. Well, totally. I mean, you're absolutely right, Louise, because it's the unpleasant bits that are actually the most useful in the story. And Ben Nevis is actually an extinct volcano, so that'll be really useful.
Oh, I didn't. And you've been writing since you were 5?
Yes, I bashed out my first story on my mum's typewriter, and rather embarrassingly, she's kept it.
Oh.
Well, what feedback do you get from children? Because there's a perception out there that kids don't read so much anymore, but that's not my experience. I
That's
think
not my experience either, no. I mean, it's really great because I don't use the internet and they're very 21st century children. And yet I think they love going back into a world that had no internet, no schools. You know, the hero, Hylas, has to use survival skills to survive in the wild. And what I love is when I have children in a signing queue or whatever, and they're saying to me, you know, I could really get into that book, and I got told off for reading in bed at night, you know, and I said, yeah, when I was 10 I did too, sort of thing. And that's what I want. And I think also they do like, girls and boys, particularly like the fact that I've done as much as I can of what the hero and heroine are going to do. I mean, in the first book I swam with dolphins, wild dolphins, because there was a dolphin in the first book. And so they like the fact that, yeah, I actually know what it's like to be in the water with a dolphin. And I've looked eye to eye with a lioness. And they like the fact that I know, as far as one can these days, what it's really like.
Really good to meet you. Thank you very much.
It's a great pleasure.
Thank you. And Michelle's book, Gods and Warriors, The Burning Shadow, is out now.